Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts be always acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen.
Amen.
The couple had come to be married. The minister's wife whispered in his ear, "They're too young." The young man was dressed in his Sunday suit. The sleeves on the jacket were too short, as were the pants legs. Obviously, last year's suit or a hand-me-down. The girl wore her best Sunday dress, and she carried some flowers that she had picked in her front yard and wrapped with a blue ribbon. They sat in the minister's parlor, and the minister's wife fixed some punch and cake for afterwards. They waited for a few friends to come and join them. Only 4 of them. When the last guest arrived, Will Campbell, the Baptist minister, who would become an icon among Southern clergy during the Civil Rights Movement. Will had them stand in front of the fireplace, took up his place, looked at the couple and said, "Do you have a license?" The young man fumbled around in his suit pocket and got it out. The minister looked at it. Will said, "You need to sign it." Handed him a pen and let them write on his Bible. And they signed their marriage license. And then he said, "Join hands." And they grasped each other's hands. And he said to them, "I pronounce that you are man and wife. I do this by the solemn authority given to me by the state of Tennessee." And then smiling at them, he said, "Do you understand this has absolutely nothing to do with Christian marriage? This is a contract that allows you to sue each other a few years from now if you choose to do so." There was a gasp that went through that room. And then looking around, Will said, "And now, dearly beloved, we have come together to join this man and this woman in holy matrimony." Holy matrimony has not that much to do with what the state says. That was Don and Sue Armatrout's description of their wedding in Will Campbell's parlor. Some of you know Will Campbell. If you read Kudzu, he is the minister in Kudzu, Will Be Done. One of his books that I love is 40 Acres and a Goat. Read it. It's scripture. The Armatrouts would go on to get an education. They would eventually come back to Tennessee, to Swanee, and serve for many years on the faculty of the School of Theology. And I always love to hear them describe their wedding day. Only Will Campbell would do something like that. It seemed a fitting story on this Sunday as we celebrate another wedding, or the anniversary of another wedding. It has to do with commitment. Not with permission from the state, but with commitment between people. This morning you read that scene in Matthew's Gospel where two groups of folks are trying to trap Jesus in something he says so they can get rid of him. The temple authorities are afraid of him because of his popularity with the people. And their business is not only religion, but it's financial. They make a fortune off of the taxes, the religious taxes imposed on the everyday sort. The other group are the Herodians. These are the Jews who have sold out to the occupying forces in their country. Sold out so that they could make some money. And Jesus exposes them, both groups. So they need to get rid of him. All of this takes place in the middle of Jerusalem. There are crowds of people around to watch. It is said that politics makes strange bedfellows, and getting the Herodians and the temple priesthood together is about as strange bedfellows as you could find. Their methodology for trapping him by what he says is what we have come to know as the gotcha questions. You know, the sort of thing, have you quit beating your wife? Gotcha questions are, it seems to me, what we see a lot of these days between various groups, including the press and the White House. Gotcha questions. Is it lawful to pay taxes to the emperor? That's the question. If he says yes, then the religious authorities will bring charges against him. Heresy charges. If he says no, the Herodian followers will have him arrested by the Roman soldiers. Gotcha. Gotcha. Is it lawful to pay taxes to the emperor? Jesus says, whose image is on the tax coin? And they reply, Caesar's. He says, show me the coin. And sure enough, there on the face of the coin is the likeness of Caesar. And the inscription reads, Tiberius Caesar, august son of the divine Augustus, high priest. Jesus is asked, whose image is it? And they reply, the emperor's. And then he says that strange thing, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar, and unto God that which is God. And there's not a Jew in the crowd who does not know the opening verses of their own scriptures. Which it says that God created them male and female in his image. In his image. That's what's stamped on you and me and all those folks. Most modern translation of that term Jesus uses, give back to, render unto, We usually use just either render or go back to. I was somewhat intrigued by that, so I looked it up in Webster's. Render also means give back. True. Give what is due, or relinquish. Different versions of Scripture through the ages have used all three of those terms in answer to Jesus' question, whose image is on the coin. Then give back to, render, or even surrender to. He calls to mind that phrase that they all would have learned as children. So God created humankind in His image. In the image of God, He created them, male and female. He created them. Right there in the opening pages of Scripture. Caesar's image rightly appeared on the coinage, but God's image is stamped on you and me, on all of humankind, according to Scripture. And what that says is that God's sovereignty applies to you and to me. Everything that is, all of creation belongs to God, including you and me. So it is then that we are to give back to God what belongs to God. And if you take it literally, as it was written, as it was believed, that was everything, including us. In our baptismal liturgy, when we baptize a person, the priest makes the sign of the cross using holy oil, the sign of the cross on the person's forehead. And says, you are marked as Christ's own forever. You are marked as Christ's own forever. Some here, the Episcopalians among us, know that from our baptism, but it's in every liturgy. Baptists, Methodists, and among the Jews at their bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah. You are marked. Recently, I have been updating my final instructions, my will and instructions to my family. It's sort of a sobering thing to do. I put it off until the lawyers got on me. You need to update it. So I started doing my research, and I called the diocesan office at the cathedral in Atlanta and said, tell me at my death, what are the benefits? And the financial secretary for the diocese, with great enthusiasm, allowed us how when I die, my wife will get a check for $2,000. And I said, damn, I thought I was more important than that. $2,000. Beloved, the truth is that you and I don't own anything. We do not own anything. When my mother died and I was her financial person, I got together all that there was. Sat down with a checkbook wrote a check as per her instructions to me, and one to my son, and one to my daughter. The few things that were left, a bedroom suit and some other things, went to Goodwill. That was it. That was it. Nothing else. We don't own anything. Everything we have, including ourselves, most appropriately ourselves, belongs to the one who has created us. And so we come here on Sunday mornings to give thanks and to celebrate. And it seems that is a fitting thing to do on this day as two people renew their commitment to each other. Thanks be to God. Amen.